Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom in which we speak with small cap executives after big, important news. With us today, I'm happy to have again Jean-Marc Lacoste. He's President and CEO of Monarques Gold. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol MQR, and for our friends in Germany under the stock symbol MR7. What's the press release we're talking about today? Let me give you the headline. I'm going to read it. Monarques Gold enters into definitive agreement to acquire all the mining assets of Richmont mines in the province of Quebec. Monarques Gold, this is a transformative transaction. They're now a gold producer. I'm going to give you a couple of highlights. They're a gold producer with the Beaufor Mine, which last year produced about 19,500 ounces of gold. They've got a fantastic portfolio. They got the mine, 2 mills, 2 advanced projects, 8 exploration projects, 150, and in fact, higher number than that, highly experienced, qualified employees coming over from Richmont, and a strong financial position with over $12 million in cash and cash equivalents. Jean-Marc, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Don't worry about how I am. How are you? You pulled off one of the best acquisitions we've seen in the small cap space in a long time. Tell us how you're able to pull this off before we get into specifics of the questions. You know, how are you able to get this done for Monarch shareholders?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of the transaction we've accomplished, like you could say, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of labor intensive for the last year of negotiation. We had a lot of discussion on and off. It was never clear when we actually got in the final tunnel, but I think it was, you know, a perfect example of just looking out there, making sure you know, we've looked at all the assets and made sure that we were aware of anybody who was about to look to diverse. It was a great transaction for Richmont. They got instant recognition from Alamos in a takeover form. It was a great transaction for all the employees in Quebec. They all can look to the future now, with being the center of Monarch. They were the secondary assets in the Richmont portfolio. Now they're with us. I can tell you, I've met every one of them. I shook hands with all the miners. It's very exciting times, but from where I stand, it's a win-win-win for everybody, the seller, the buyer, the employees, and the markets. I think our shareholder will be proud in the coming months and years to see that they saw the birth of the actual butterfly that is Monarch. You know, we came out of the cocoon finally.
Well, I've always said, and you've heard me say it on these interviews, you're the most confident small cap resource CEO anywhere in the small cap space, and now you're backing it up. So let's get to some specific questions. Before this transaction, you were on the cusp of becoming a producer with your Croinor. It was a very, very advanced project that had a very good chance of becoming a producer, and we were talking about that. Now, as a result of this transaction, you're a producer now, and in fact, as of October, you should be producing. Are there any details you can give us about that?
Well, we're coming out with a first production of a doré bar in the next few weeks. We're really excited about that side of the transaction. Croinor deposit, our main project of Monarch before the acquisition, was all permitted, ready to go.
Right.
So we're basically making sure that we have the staff and the expertise for underground mining, which we do. We already had our mill. We now have 2 mills, of which one of them is fully functional. So I think it's a great way to have the engine started at Monarch in a way where we basically have all these things happening. But the diamond in the rough that we have now is the property called Wasamac. I mean, Wasamac is over 3 million ounces of gold. I mean, this is the gem. Yes, Monarque is an instant producer on October 2nd, but the truth is 240 square kilometers of exploration property, of which we know we have measured and indicated categories of in excess of 3 million ounces. I mean, if you just do the valuation per ounces per share, I think Monarques is screaming by here.
And we're going to do that analysis, or at least everyone at home should be doing that analysis, because we can't do it for you. And that leads into a question I had for you. There are so many amazing elements to this transaction. Obviously, there was the Beaufor Mine. There was the mill. There was the unbelievable staff, 150 qualified people. The cash that came in, because, in fact, the company, Richmont, was part of a private placement where they invested $2 million in the company. What is, of all that, what is the main gain for Monarques out of all this? And you could say all of those things, but is it the possibility of Wasamac? Is it the actual production out of Beaufor that's going to start? Where do you see the main advantage out of all this? And they're hard to rank, like having beautiful babies. So, but maybe give us an idea.
So I would say, if I had to put in one word what we've accomplished, is, it's not even one word, I would say the exploration potential. You got to understand that when you look for, 1 year, 2 years down the road, you want to look at 5, 10 years. I mean, this is what Bay Street's looking for. This is what Wall Street's looking for. They want to see what's going on over the next 5 to 10 years in the company. This is what we've accomplished now. We can tell you what we're doing today, but we can tell you that in the next 5, 10 years, we have plenty of ounces to play around with, and try to bring any of the ounces underground to production is a big challenge. And we got the people to do it. So the exploration potential of Wasamac with 3 million ounces, the exploration potential at Croinor. This was the story all along for the last 3-4 years at Monarque. We were talking about Croinor potential. This is why Rob McEwen got in. He got in.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say that just that alone brought Rob McEwen.
Yeah, Rob McEwen came in for the Croinor potential, and we fully expect to push that to the maximum of its capacity. So the reason we did that transaction is we wanted Monarque to be a very good investment, and the valuation, if you take the 3.5 million ounces and you put it in perspective with the shares outstanding, you will soon realize what we did today or last week when we closed that transaction is we made sure that Monarque was a cheap stock. I'm not afraid to say it. Monarque was becoming expensive. It was based on the goodwill of Monarque and what we could pull off, what we just did. That's why we were priced so high before the transaction. And guess what, folks? We're back down now. You can buy Monarque for less than $17 per ounce underground. I mean, this is a steal. Plays like Integra, but we got paid $200 per ounce underground. Just do the calculation on the Richmont deal. I mean, down the road, when we de-risk these ounces, we will get our value. We will get the average of the industry right now is between $60 and $80 per ounce underground. We trade at 17. Do the math. I mean, I think it's a great investment. And on top of it, we have daily operation that will bring some cash flow. So we're not out there, always begging for money like the juniors out there. It's always
That's tough. A big one. That's a big one. Not having to always go back to the market. I mean, last year, the mine produced 19,500 ounces, the Beaufor. What do you expect it to do over the next 12 months? Do you have a sense for that?
We definitely are hoping we're going to do the same type of production. The production itself was not that much profitable. So that's some of the comments I had when we did the transaction. They said, well, they couldn't make money. Why could you? Well, I spent my whole life proving those people wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying we have a special recipe to do so. What I'm saying is we're going to work, really hard to make sure we can do some economies of scale. I mean, we're a smaller company. We're more dynamic. We can do a lot of stuff quickly. We can change our mind quickly. And that will put us in a better perspective to hopefully turn the Beaufor mine profitable. And if we do, then like I said, we don't want to be this junior out there that every 6 months or, flow through season or, sit out there and say, we need more money. We need more money to prove more ounces. The good news, we have ounces. It's about growing it from now. And if we do go back to the market down the road, it will be to grow these deposits to the quality that they should be, which is multi-million ounces. That's
right, as opposed to just raising money to hope to keep buying yourself time. But in the meantime, I want to make clear to everyone at home, and maybe you can't do, Jean-Marc, you have a very healthy balance sheet from a cash and tax and tax credits point of view with the government of Quebec. Shed some light on that to let everyone know at home how stable Monarch is right now, that you're not needing to go out to the market anytime soon.
Well, right now we use the excitement around the transaction to get, to tally people around to make sure the money was there. I mean, don't forget, this was probably the toughest part of the transaction, making sure we had the strategic partners to actually accomplish it. I mean, it was one thing to get those properties for a good price. It was a second thing to make sure we had the money to move forward. So that's what we've accomplished. So we do have a strong balance sheet. When you have a producing asset, this is still at risk. I mean, you want to have money. You want to make sure you do all the right moves. But from my perspective, coming out of 4 years of the worst bear market in the industry, I want to be in a position where if gold goes, people start looking at Monarch as the potential money we could get from a raising price of gold. So,
and today's a good day because you got gold up about $12 an ounce last time I looked. So timing is perfect. You talked earlier about the fact that you had some tier one fantastic shareholders in the likes of Rod McEwen. Now you've got Richmont and Alamos as big shareholders as well, with 19.9% of the company. What are the big advantages that come with having shareholders like that behind you?
Well, the first thing, having big shareholders like that, is when you have ideas of development or acquisition, you could always, go to these people and see if they want to stay on board. The good news with the Alamos Richmont deal, they will be there along the way, and they have clauses in there where we have to go and make sure they get their 20% moving forward. They have a right to keep their percentage. We had the same things with Rod McEwen and Shamandi. Those are investor that you want to have, because every time you have an idea, it's not, it's always a matter of money, but it's a matter of having the right people around you to take you down that path. So yes, I've met with Alamos 2 weeks ago. A great conversation there. I can feel that they want us to pamper the assets and make sure we can bring through the pipeline some decent project. Funny story. When we studied the Wasamac project, we compared it as the main comparison of this project was the Young and Davidson project in Ontario that belongs to Alamos. It's the same size. The grade at Wasamac is a touch better. It's 6,000 tons a day. I mean, it's a fluke, but we didn't know Alamos was coming along, but of all the partners, that could be one of the good ones for Wasamac.
Yeah, just for that knowledge alone, sharing knowledge on the same kind of deposit.
Yeah, exactly.
We're obviously going to have you back now because and for everyone at home, that explains why you're a bit of a quiet period as well. Because we love everything you were doing with Croinor and everything that the company was before this transaction, and we tried to get you on, and now we realize why you made us wait. So there's no doubt, given the fact that you're going to start producing and pouring, that we're going to have you back a lot between now and the end of December, and that's great. Leave us with some parting words, because we're going to have more questions for you as more things happen. But leave us with some last words about how you feel, given how the company, the entire industry was in the fourth quarter of 2015, when it was the blackest period, and where Monarques is today in the fourth quarter of 2017.
Well, the only thing I could say is just stay tuned. We have a lot more, in store for you. We're working really hard, and you'll understand, hopefully, over the coming weeks and months, what's so great about what we just accomplished. And, this is a bit like one of those things. I have to leave you on that and say, take a good look at our stock, do some maths, actually try to understand the valuation mechanism in place. And I think, be part of the shareholder base of Monarch, and I think you'll be happy.
Well, I got to tell you, as a side note, I received a couple of calls from clients of mine in the same space that saw the Monarques news on the front page of Agoracom, and they said fantastic things. I can't repeat them only because I don't want to look like I'm promoting, but they said, George, this is a fantastic deal. These guys are going to be something real in the coming future. These guys are going to be great. So that told me that all of you at home, you've got to do your due diligence on Monarques. Okay, you've got to get there. Get to Agoracom. If you've got questions, ask the questions there. You're going to see something we're going to announce soon called CEO Verified Forum, where you're going to be able to ask questions and get the answers from management in a controlled, moderated, civilized environment. But you've got to do your due diligence, and I think you'll turn out great. Jean-Marc, thanks for joining us today. As always, man, great confidence, and you bring us something new every time.
Thank you, George. It's always a pleasure, and I'll be back shortly.
You've been watching Jean-Marc Lacoste. He's President and CEO of Monarques Gold. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol MQR, and for our friends in Germany, under the stock symbol MR7. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Do your due diligence and come back soon, because no doubt we're going to have Jean-Marc back. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.